Thank you very much, and good day to everybody. I think that we are in the midst of a hot debate on the issue of cybersecurity, IT security, as of course recent developments have shown more and more that it can't continue as we are dealing with cybersecurity until now. We have had significant progress in this area. I agree, the Commission has brought forward quite a lot of important initiatives. In particular, of course, we have in the European Parliament and also in the Council adopted the Network and Information Security Directive, the NIS directive, which is now to be implemented in the member states. But of course, it is only more or less building up an infrastructure of exchange of information between the certs and a stronger safeguard for vulnerable infrastructures. And I think that this is far too less to talk about a general standard, a high standard on IT security and cybersecurity in the European Union. We see that there are two quite huge strengths of debate, and one is that we will need to discuss general cyber or IT security standards and liability. That is something which is inevitable to be discussed, because until now we are working more or less on very specific standards in certain areas, or even very vague one in product liability or other general civil liability rules. And with the upcoming challenges of the Internet of Things and also artificial intelligence, automated processings, these rules will not be sufficient anymore, and it will not create a real safeguard for those who at the end will be using these technologies. If it is as a company and providing services and products in the margin of these services or systems, or if it is about end users who trust on the systems to be secure and to also deliver for integrity when using these systems. So for these challenges, I think that we will get a discussion more and more about the question, how can these new liability schemes and rules look like in light of the Internet of Things and in light of artificial intelligence, of automated machines, or autonomous machines, better said. We will see already now that the challenges out there. It's not that we talk about tomorrow. I just, yesterday, read the conclusions about an ethics committee of the German parliament on autonomous cars, and they are talking about the fact that this might take quite a long time. I disagree with that. In some parts of the European Union, we have already autonomously driving machines like delivery robots being tried out. So it is today that we will be facing these challenges. It is today that there could be damages which are vast to the infrastructure as a whole. And WannaCry was one example to show not only the extent it can take, but also the extent of failure which is in place at the moment when it comes to responsibility, accountability, and liability, not only with those who run systems and who are responsible, for example, for updates, but also of those, although in this case perhaps not so clear, but it is becoming more and more clear, of those who produce technologies and systems. And therefore, this is one string of debate which will be upcoming in the European Parliament. We discuss it more and more. The latest moment where we had strongly referred to it was the initiative report on robotics and artificial intelligence, where you can see clear demand to the European Commission to work out schemes of liability in this area. And before, we had two resolutions recalling clear demands to the European Commission in this area, following to the inquiry of the European Parliament into mass surveillance allegations raised by the case of Edward Snowden. And these demands are still standing, and it will be clearly discussed in the future. The other part which I would like to highlight as one of the hot debates here has also been mentioned, and that is, of course, the question of encryption of safe infrastructures and possible backdoors or vulnerabilities, inbuilt vulnerabilities, the work with so-called 0 days. Also there you can see that the WannaCry event has showed us that this is a very pressing debate, a very current debate, that of course the use of vulnerabilities or even the building of vulnerabilities also by state actors is already happening today. So we're not talking about a theoretical debate anymore if there should be backdoors inbuilt or not, or if the end-to-end encryption is be brought to an end or not, but we're talking about facts on the ground here. And when on IT security panels like this one, everybody seems to agree that there shouldn't be backdoors. I can tell you that when the ministers of interior of the European Union member states who are responsible for the decision how the possibilities for law enforcement authorities with regard to access to systems will be, agree 100% that there should be backdoors. And that there should be vulnerabilities inbuilt and that companies should open up to law enforcement requests in this sector. So we have to take this debate as a more political one. It is a current debate and it will also be discussed in certain legislative files, like for example in the Communications Code of the European Union, but also in the e-privacy regulation, which is just in the reform process right now. So you will see these debates coming up, and I can only say from the side of the European Parliament, which I also at least somehow represent here in this conference, in these debates we need experts to engage. We need experts to get into the processes which are just ongoing in legislative procedures, and that's also what I would like to bring to this conference. All of what you're debating here today, which I very much welcome that you are doing it, we need to also be feedbacked to the legislative process, not only in the European Parliament, but of course also in the Council and the Commission, who is of course present here to discuss. So I thank you very much.